What's going on, everyone? It's my back again, and this is your match preview. It's Everton against Brentford, Goodison Park. Massive game, massive game, and it's a game that I sort of go into it and I don't quite know what to expect. You know, with the Arsenal game, I was pumped. I thought, yeah, we were gonna win. I was convinced we were gonna win. I remember doing a little video on Twitter and saying we were gonna win. I was really confident we would win, and we did. I didn't expect anything away at Liverpool. We didn't get it. I expected us to beat Leeds. We did. I didn't expect us to beat Arsenal. I expected us to beat Villa, and we didn't. So, in terms of the tenure under Dyche at the minute, I don't think it's been horrendous. The only game that I didn't expect, the result that we got, was the Villa game. I thought we would win, but we didn't. We fell apart after a poor decision by Garner to dive in, albeit whether it was a penalty or not is debatable. But, you know, it is what it is. We fell apart in that game. And this is a game that we very easily could fall apart in again. This side is a very good side. They're unbeaten this year. I think their last defeat was against Villa, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was a pumping at Villa, 4-0. I remember it, actually. It's really difficult to call because Everton need points, but Brentford are solid. They're not great away from home, though. So I think they've won 2 of their last 9 away days. So, you know, most people are predicting a draw in this game, and I get it, like, I understand, but Everton can't afford draws at this point. You know, being 2-1 up against Forest, Everton should have won the game. They didn't. Through trying to play football, we conceded the ball. You know, if we were going long in that game, I think we still would have won 2-1. But by trying to play football and counter-attacking, Takura makes a poor pass. And we concede a good goal. I mean, it's a good goal, irrespective of the poor pass. You know, he sticks it top bins. But it's frustrating. That's the sort of season we've had. Everton sit on 26 games with the same amount of points, I believe, we had last season. We managed to get out of it. But I'd argue that we have a bit of a tougher run in this year. I think Everton, the fact that they lack goals is a major concern, because last season at this point, players like Richarlison have started to pull their socks up and start chipping in. Everton don't have a Richarlison, as much as I think Everton fans, and maybe even Richarlison at this point, would rather be at Everton and playing for us. So it's a tough game. Ivan Toney, you know, his ban hasn't kicked in yet. He's getting away with it, in my opinion. He should have been banned as soon as he was found guilty. The decision should have been made then. But that, again, I'm not massively into the whole gambling and politics of football, etc. But to me, if he's done wrong, he should be banned, and he should have been banned the moment that that he was found guilty. It doesn't make sense. But there you go. So Everton have got to get a result. I think if you take Toney out of this side, Brentford are very gettable. The problem is he's scored 15 goals and 83 assists this season. So even when their back's been against the wall, he's managed to come out with something for them. And I think it'll be really interesting what happens to Brentford after Toney's got his ban and his term and all of that stuff. It really wouldn't surprise me if his ban kicks in after the Everton game, because that's just Everton, and that's the league wanting to probably get Everton relegated, because I'm convinced that the Premier League would like that. But there you go. And I don't really have a strategy for this game, because, you know, like I've said before, Everton just need to win. They just need to win. I don't care if it's 1-0 and it bounces off a Brentford centre-half's foot, goes into his goal and it's an own goal and we win 1-0. I don't care. We just need to win these games of football. And, you know, Everton sitting on the same points as last season, with a worse running, in my opinion, with a goal scorer that can't score, etc., etc., etc. It just worries me. It just worries me. We need to find a way of winning games of football. Draws aren't going to be enough. And you know, people have said to me, you know, this game looks like it could be a draw, Mike. And, you know, it's a good draw. Brentford are flying, unbeaten, all of that stuff. Everton are sitting 18th. And Southampton and Bournemouth both have a game in hand. Leeds, West Ham, Leicester, Forest all have a game in hand. So every single team around Everton have a game in hand. Just understand that they all have a game in hand. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They've got more of an opportunity of getting another 3 points more than Everton have got. You know, I'd feel much better if it was Everton's got a game in hand and we're sitting 18th, but we don't. It's the opposite way around. So Everton have to win these games, and you know, the only way that I can see that we beat Brentford is by just raw aggression, middle of the park, out on the wings. We've got to beat them man for man. We've got to beat a Brentford side who can mix it up, can be as aggressive as anyone, can score goals, can defend well. Everton have got to be just as good in every single area. They've got to start Damari Gray again, in my opinion, because I thought he added loads more than Neil Moore. Yeah, and I think, you know, I was kind of disappointed with not necessarily the defence. I get disappointed when we're talking about strikers, and you know, Neil Maupay's produced 1 goal this season, and yet he's still being defended. He still trains really well. He's still brilliant with the team, but he's not putting the ball in the net. So I don't want to hear it, if I'm being honest. It sounds awful, but I don't. I've saw this guy put on a blue shirt for at least 20 games now, and he's been poor in every game bar 1. I'm not feeling it. I don't want to hear about it. Literally, he doesn't need to be bought up. You know, Solomon Rondon did a better job. It is what it is. It is what it is. I think Everton. I think Vitaly Mykolenko, if he's back, does he get in over Godfrey after his performance last week? Look, Godfrey was not good. He wasn't good. I thought he got stripped over and over again by Brennan Johnson. Brentford are decent in that position as well. I'll probably keep Godfrey in because of his pace. But the team probably stays unchanged apart from that. James Garner's potentially back on the bench. He doesn't start over the 3 in midfield, but I'd like to see him at some point. You know, what's the point of spending again £12 million or whatever it was on a lad and not seeing him for various issues? I appreciate, but you know, every time I have seen him, I thought he looked all right. You know, keep bringing Tom Davis on. It's just frustrating me when there's a player of potentially James Garner's quality on the bench. So I'd like to see him a little bit more. But yeah, for me, I don't change anything unless Dom's back. And again, you know, it's frustrating me that every single press conference we're talking about Calvert-Lewin. We're talking about Lewin, and you know, let's be really straight about this. He's been poor now because of the injuries and even his performances when he's coming back for a long time. Like, he has not been brilliant for a long time. And when he has played, he's looked all right. He can hold the ball up. But, you know, I remember the Dom that would run in behind, and he looks a scared player now. He looks like he's worried about getting injured. And I remember, and I hate to say this because he was a Red, but I remember it happening to Owen. I remember he suffered so many injuries. And he wrote it in his book, and at one point he couldn't wait to retire. And I'm not saying Lewin is quite there yet, but I think Lewin's just wants to get out of Everton. I think he's probably had enough of these ups and downs and wants to change, and I can semi-understand it. You know, he probably wants something new because he's consistently in an environment where he's either injured or people are talking about him, or they're saying, you know, he can model but he can't play football, etc. Look, and that's not a debate for this channel. It's not a debate that I'll have, but my point is, I don't understand when he does play how he can't last 90 minutes. And if this period now, this lengthy period, this time is trying to get him fit, trying to get him to play, you know, the next 11 games or whatever's going to be left after this game or whenever he comes back of the season, I don't understand why it was just a knock and then he's out for 4 weeks. That's the bit I don't get. You know, like if he was to if Dyche was to come out and say he's got a grade 2 tear on his hamstring, or he's got he's caught his ankle, he's rolled his ankle, he's probably going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks, I can understand. But Sean Dyche isn't even giving the impression that he knows when he's coming back, because he sounds like he's frustrated. And he's frustrated about talking about it, because you heard it yesterday, his little throwaway comment about, he gets fashion advice from him or fashion tips from him. I don't know whether that was a dig at Dom or a dig at the media, if I'm being honest, and it could well have been a dig at both. So I don't know what's going on with Lewin, and I wish I did, because I'd want to understand more. I like Lewin, and I always have. But do I think he's good enough? I didn't 4 years ago. I didn't 3 years ago. And then he sort of had a purple patch where he was scoring 15 goals a season. And he started, a bat out of hell under Ancelotti. I think he scored something like 11 goals in 7 games or something, including England goals. I feel like we're never going to see that Dominic Calvert-Lewin again. And, these are games where we could do with him, where his physicality would help, where he's going up against Ben Mee, for example. Demarai Gray against Ben Mee, Demarai's not winning a physical battle. He can probably run in behind him, but we don't really play that style of football. We play balls into the box, we put a lot of pressure on the back four, but we're not putting as much pressure as we could do, because we haven't got a number 9 with the height or the pace or the physicality that Lewin's got. And people will say, well, we've got a young one in Eddie Sims, but can you rely on Eddie Sims to keep you in the Premier League? My argument probably would be no. I've got no issue playing 4-4-2, and I have mentioned that before, and I probably would drop Garner out of the midfield and go 4-4-2, but he's not doing it. Dwight McNeil, he's played really well lately. We need to see him taking more shots, because more reliance is being fed onto the rest of the team, because, Demarai Gray will score you a goal or 2 towards the end of the season. We know that he will, 2 or 3 maybe. Mulpay might get another 1, but he doesn't look like he could score a goal in a month of Sundays. The reliance then is on midfield, Doucouré, Onana, Iwobi, McNeil. And when you go through that team, I think they've scored less than 5 goals between them this season. It's really not good enough. Iwobi's got plenty of assists, and he probably would have more assists if he had someone playing in front of him who could score goals, but he doesn't. I'm hoping Everton win. If you want a score prediction, I'll go 2-1 Everton. But that's my heart. My head's telling me it's 1-1. But we need 3 points. There's no sugarcoating it. We're not going to get loads of chances. We've got a couple of really tough fixtures coming up with Chelsea and Man City, etc. coming up. Tottenham. Tough games. Everton have got to get 3 points in this game. They've got to. And they've got to rely on other teams to start losing as well. Your teams like Leeds, Southampton, Bournemouth, your Forests, they've all got to start losing. Your West Hams, although I still think West Ham are too good to go down. Everton need help, because this side isn't going to punch their way out of a relegation battle this season. It's not going to get the fans on the same level it did last season, because we were all promised that it wouldn't happen, and we've been let down by the board. This club has been let down by the board, and as a result of that, I just feel like there's a different feeling around the club. There's almost an expectation that Everton are going down, whereas last season we were fighting for our lives, and that's what worries me the most. It's the mentality, not just the players, not just the manager, not just the board, but it's the fans' mood changing. None of us want to go down. All of us will fight not to go down. But I sort of feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall, and what they're doing at NS now, and everything that is being put in place, and the conversations with the board, etc., etc. It's all the right things to do. It's all the right things to say. But we need more. We need to stay up. It's that simple. Guys, I'm leaving it there. I would say keep smiling, but I know it's hard. Massive game. It's as simple as that, massive game. So, come on, you Blues.